Hello! This is so awkward for me. Obviously I haven't shown my face properly on camera before, and I don't even want to look at the camera because something about it makes me anxious. I am so nervous. It's been a long time since I last spoke to you guys. Please ignore this fuck ass name on my jacket. I am trying to figure out a way to cover it. That's my cat. And yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to come back and chat to you guys about what's been going on in my life recently. Hi. Turns out I was too anxious that day, so here's the second attempt. So the first life update is that I finally got officially diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety. Yippee! No one was surprised about that, by the way. At least I wasn't. I had always thought that I was a little bit different from other kids, but maybe because my parents display the same symptoms or that I attracted a lot of other kids that had the same as well, I just didn't seem that different to the adults in my life, so I didn't get diagnosed until I took myself. So I was 19, working a factory job, took myself, and had a panic attack in the foyer. And when I made eye contact with my psychiatrist, I swear she was already diagnosing me with things as, as she was approaching me. So that was fun. $500 down the drain? Not really, I guess, because it was worth it. I ended up being medicated, and I didn't really, I saw the difference in doing chores around the house, but it wasn't until I started studying that I saw a big difference. It actually really hurt my feelings, to be honest. I could focus on tasks that I would usually find boring, but it was still boring, I can still do it. I could, block out other things instead of getting distracted. It was just so different. And why is it upsetting? Because knowing how I was on medication studying at TAFE made me realize how much better I could have done in high school if I had started the medication earlier. And it's heartbreaking knowing that I could have done so much better, potentially even changed my adulthood into what I would have gone into. One of the reasons why I didn't get into uni wasn't that I didn't get into it. Realistically, if you graduated in 2020 when COVID was taking over the world, it didn't really matter what your ATAR was, you could get into university. It was the fact that I felt so scared in picking a choice, and I didn't really think much about what I wanted to do in my future. Even though I had friends who got worse ATARs than me, who are now, finished their uni courses at this point, I just felt like a failure before I had even gotten to that point. So it wasn't until way later I decided I'm going to do interior design, and I flunked the course because at some point we had a teacher who was boring as fuck talking about the history of pillars in Rome or something, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't. It's too boring. And well, I assumed that potentially ADHD had something to do with it, had everything to do with it. So now, years later, I have completed some certificates in graphic design, which turns out is what I actually wanted to do, not interior. But it's a bit too late now, isn't it? I could have been, finished with my bachelor's at this point, but I've got 2 certificates and now too many responsibilities to even study. So what can you do, going into that, I've moved across the country from New South Wales to WA, Western Australia, and it's been fun. But like I said, a lot of adult responsibilities because I no longer live with my parents. I live with my partner, and I can't be making him do everything. So working has been really the only thing I've been doing since I've gotten here. I've only just gone full-time, or technically not officially, I'm going to be tomorrow full-time worker. And as much as I want to study again, I just don't have the time. And it's heartbreaking because I really enjoyed studying graphic design, and I don't know if I'll ever have the opportunity to go back to uni, or to uni, since I've never been. But it is a goal of mine. Hopefully I can get there eventually. Breaking off from that, I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, but at first type 2. Now, with the type 2 diabetes thing, I should have known from the start not to trust this doctor. I asked her, she was the one that referred me to the psychiatrist to get my ADHD. But when I asked her for that referral, she said, well, you're not screaming and crying, so I don't think you have ADHD. What's that supposed to mean? I shouldn't have trusted her from that, but I just saw first available because that's what I usually do. I don't see the same doctor all the time. And she was the first available, and I was telling her all these symptoms, like I had a dry mouth, felt lethargic. When I get up quickly, I get dizzy. We're like, oh, low iron. So I got a blood test. Turns out, not low iron. I got a call like a week before my 20th birthday saying, your diabetes is really high. I'm like, diabetes? She's like, oh, you have diabetes, and it's really bad. I'm like, thanks. I love that. Happy birthday to me, right? So, like I said, misdiagnosed me. She thought that if you weren't born with type 1 diabetes, you couldn't have type 1. You had to be born with it. Not true. Instead, she thought I had the one that's usually for overweight or obese, like 50 plus year olds, because that made more sense at 19. So I just rolled with it because what would I know? She's the doctor. She's the professional. And a lot of doctors would question me about it when I would see them, because again, I just saw first available. And I would be like, no, she said type 1. No, sorry, type 2. They're just gonna, oh, okay. Like, they disagree. And it wasn't until I saw another doctor who I had seen many times before for other things. He put his foot down. He's like, no, you might not have type 1 if she doesn't think you do, but you definitely don't have type 2. You might have some of the, like, there's some like rarer forms of diabetes. So I'm like, okay. So I did the blood test again. He was right. It wasn't type 2, and it was probably type 1, like he thought. Now, the part that pisses me off the most is that first doctor, but also the diabetes specialist that I ended up seeing. Because when I went to him when I got my type 2 diagnosis, he agreed. He's like, yeah, type 2. Yeah, he looked at my blood work. He looked at all the information given. He got me to weigh myself, looked at my height, knew my age, and went, yeah, type 2. Yeah. What? And when I got my type 1 diagnosis, I had to go back to the same guy. And the annoying part about the specialist is it costs money to see him. The doctors are free. And he looks me in the eyes and goes, yeah, you're type 1. But you said I was type 2 before. And you're the specialist. You're supposed to know about this. He could have, like, despite what the doctor said, he's the specialist. So he could have been like, no, she's wrong. You have type 1. He sat on that information and decided not to tell me and just roll with it. So my pancreas ended up going through a honeymoon phase where it was working on the medication that was given to me and then crashed because it essentially died. Yeah, no insulin kind of isn't good for you if you're diabetic. Finally got my type 1 diagnosis. I had to go to my local hospital to see educators before I could start my insulin. And the part that upset them the most was hearing everything. And they're like, how? How did you manage to slip through the gaps like this? I'm like, I don't know. So started insulin the same day. They were actually really concerned for me. They were asking me questions about my health in the past. And I said one time I was at work and I felt really, really sick. Like in my stomach, my head hurt, my eye, like my vision was blurry. Just felt like shit, and I had to leave work early and walk to the doctor's. Sat in the doctor's office, almost passed out, just sitting there in the chair waiting. Saw the doctor. She's like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. Your blood sugar only was like 13. She's like, oh, it could be worse than that. Sent me home. What I didn't know is that, yeah, my blood sugar wasn't like crazy. It's not good, but not crazy. It was probably my ketones, which is a whole different thing. It was just, could have been really bad, and I reckon it would have been, considering at this point I was 2 years into being type 2 and not being on insulin when I should have been. So she actually called me while I was in my Uber on the way home, asking, can you come back and do a ketones test? And I'm like, no, I'm in an Uber. I'm too poor to get 2 Ubers in a day. She's like, can you come back later? I'm like, no. Maybe. I said maybe. She's like, okay, fine, whatever. She's like, I'm so sorry, I didn't pay more attention. I'm not feeling that good myself today. If you're not in top shape to look after people, especially when they're really sick, or just like, you know, need your help as a professional, you should either take the day off or quit. The amount of times I saw that same doctor who just let me go home despite how sick I was, judged me for being on the pill. She judged me for having a partner. There's so many instances where she was just, sometimes she was nice to me, and then as soon as I need another script for my pill, like the first time I had ever seen her, her face dropped, her like mood to me was different, and she only gave me 1 repeat instead of the 3 that every other doctor gives me, which is supposed to last me a year. But yeah, it's been fun. Sorry that my camera's shaking. My cat's rubbing on it. I have... Oh, okay, she's really getting in there. Weezy, say hi to the camera. So this isn't a pump. It just tells me what my blood sugar is. And it's been very useful, but it can be very annoying, I'll tell you that. But yeah, so I have diabetes, ADHD, anxiety. At this point, I'm just fucking collecting all of them. But yeah, hopefully I don't have to add anything else to that list anytime soon, at least. And yeah, I know I've been inspired by my friend Amy to start posting again. I'll put it in the description down below if you're interested. My cat keeps moving my camera. You know, and I want to start uploading more. It's been really fun watching her videos, so I thought, why not? And I have a new computer as of yesterday officially. I have plenty of hobbies to share with you guys. If you see my Pokemon card videos, I'm hoping to do like an actual proper one instead of just a little short form video. I collect orchids, the flowers. I've been getting into older games, like playing my Wii again. I've been playing on my DS with my partner, not as much, but we're about to get into it. And yeah, just collecting in general. I hope you guys have a good day. I'm so sorry that the first recording didn't work out and that it's been so long since I've uploaded. But I really appreciate you guys, and I hope to see you next time. Lacey, you want to say bye? Bye guys.